Welcome to From Beyond with your host, Glenn Boddice. Join me as we explore spirituality, self-help, and channeling spirits. Hello and welcome to From Beyond with Glenn Boddice, and welcome to this episode as we're going to be discussing the activity of water. We're also going to have this week's energy forecast reading, which will hopefully help you navigate your way through the twists and turns of this week ahead. But I'm very excited, first of all, as I'm joined by my co-host in this episode, Kristina Bloom. So Kristina Bloom, hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm really well. I'm feeling quite peculiar. As we were just discussing off here, I've come back from a soul rescue session and a house cleanse, so I feel really rejuvenated, but just grounding my energies back for this episode.
Awesome.
So, have you had a good week?
I have had a good week. You know, today is when Pluto moves from Capricorn into Aquarius, and it's supposed to open up a whole bunch of opportunity for the next 20 years.
Oh, I'll have a slice of that pie, if you don't mind.
Yes, thank you. Yes, absolutely. So I just wanted to toss that out there for any listeners who might be astrology fans. But I don't know a whole lot about it. As I told a friend, I know enough about astrology to be judgmental. So I just
like it.
I try not to go too much into astrology, but I'm very excited. I was out earlier doing some shopping, and it just feels different. Like the air feels different, like people feel different, everything feels different. It's like, you know, and everything's been pretty dark here in the States for the last week or so. And today it felt like there was a little light, so I'm encouraged.
Oh, that's nice. And it's nice that you're picking up that, you know, in your environment, you're seeing that change and feeling those changes.
Yes, definitely.
Here in the UK, it actually snowed last night. So
Awesome.
Everybody's cussing and, you know, with the driving. So I haven't seen that yet, but maybe when the snow goes, I will.
Oh, wow. See, I'm a snow bunny. I love snow. So that excites me. And snow melted is water, which leads right into what we are talking about today.
It does, yes. So that was cleverly done, seamless.
Thank you.
If I may say so myself, because we are going to be talking in this episode, the activity of water. So let's crack on, shall we?
Yeah.
So let's break water down. First of all, if we can, boil it up.
Yes.
Water is an amplifier or a conductor of energy, and many people say, boffins included, that we are, is it 90 something or 80 something percent water? We as a physical being, we're made up of water.
Yeah, I've heard everything from 70 to 90%.
Okay, I'll take that.
I'm not sure.
I'll take that.
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
Right.
I don't know for sure. But we are, the vast majority of us is water, liquid. So, yes.
So, yeah, I suppose with that, you know, most things have moisture and have, you know, water in them. So in many respects, in physical respects, we can see that we're all connected on some level, because they say that, you know, all streams lead to rivers, rivers lead to oceans, and then we all meet in the ocean and start over again.
Right.
So, yeah, water. Interesting
topic. Definitely an amplifier.
Definitely
an amplifier. I don't know why, but it seems to amplify sound. If you make sound around water, it seems to amplify it. I'm not sure what's up with that. I don't know why. Like if you're around, and there's just listening to a radio, for example, if you're next to a pool and there's not a lot of people screaming and you're playing a radio, the water seems to bounce the sound waves, if that makes sense.
Oh, I'm with you. Reflect them back towards you.
Right.
There's also those experiments that was conducted many, many years ago by, forgive my ignorance, but I think was it a Japanese gentleman?
Yes,
Um,
Dr. Emoto.
that's correct. And
Yeah.
where he conducted these experiments by saying positive things to certain water, negative
Hmm.
things to other waters there, and he froze the waters. And under a microscope, he could see the sacred geometry or the shapes that were emitted from each one of those vibrations and intentions there. And I find that fascinating, and particularly with you talking about music and why it has an impact on water. Maybe this is
Hmm.
part of it because it's kind of echoing back or embodying the intention or the frequencies or the energies within that sound and absorbing it on some level in that water, just like the experiments.
Right, right. And I have the book somewhere. I know I've read the book about his experiments with water. And um, it's interesting because I know people who have tested his theories
Oh,
and come up
excellent.
with similar results
Mm,
because water is flow, it's emotion. Of course, it's energy because everything is energy, but
yeah.
it's energy in liquid form and it absorbs whatever energies are around it or
Mm.
whatever energies get into it.
So I suppose with focused intention, we could yield the magic properties of fluid or water and maybe embody that into, shall we say, ceremonies, maybe sacred ceremonies. I mean, there's many that's known throughout the world, isn't there, that use
Right.
water?
Well, baptism
Yeah,
in the Christian churches, baptism, they bless the water, which presumably makes the water pure,
yeah.
and then pour it over the head of either infants or adults, depending on the sect or religion. But yeah, baptism is a huge ceremonial thing. Uh, Coming from a Native American background, a lot of the women elders and other teachers use water ceremonies for like women's sweat lodges and that sort of
Okay.
thing, where
Yeah, of course.
the water is prayed over and purified, and everybody drinks a little bit of it after all the intentions are put into it. And so, there are a lot of different ceremonies around water all over the world, I'm sure, but those are the two that popped into my head right away.
Would you say a cacao ceremony? I mean, they don't necessarily use water, but that moisture content obviously plays a role, and obviously that comes from water in some point. And obviously, in a cacao ceremony, they're also placing those intentions into that drink, aren't they?
Right. Well, and I haven't done one, but isn't a cacao ceremony where they boil the cacao in water and make it like a tea of some sort?
That's right. It's a bit like a hot chocolate. I know a lot of practitioners use, is it soy milk or almond milk, as opposed to from traditional cow milk or something like that. They find that it gets a more of an energetic quality and a more of a consistency within the drink itself there. But it's a
Oh,
beautiful ceremony if you've never done that. When you come over here, I'll have a word with a few friends that do it, and we'll get you
awesome.
booked in.
Awesome. Did y'all hear that? I'm coming.
Make
May
way.
2025. I'm coming. Look out, London. Look out, England. It'll never be the same.
Now you're more of an expert than me in terms of tarot, and you spoke about something very interesting when we was coming up with today's topic, and this was the suit of cups. Can
Yes,
you expand on that a little bit more? Again, it's
sure.
relevant with water,
Right.
isn't it?
Right. Well, the Suit of Cups, and there are, I don't even know how many tarot decks out there anymore, but even starting with the Rider Waite, the cups have water. The pictures have water in the cups, and the cups are about flow. They're about emotion. They're about navigating relationships. They're about spirit. So with water being flowy and spirit being flowy, that's that's the element that is attached to the cups in the tarot decks. That was a kind of a quick summation, but
Beautifully put, beautifully put. And
thank
I
you.
like the way that you mentioned in that the five elements, obviously water being one of them.
Hmm.
We were just discussing
Right.
this, trying to remember them all
Yes, I'm
earlier.
trying to remember them all.
So for those of you that are listening,
Yeah.
we have water, we have air, we have fire, we have earth, and then we have spirit. Yay, you
Yes.
got it right.
Yay. Woo! Got it right the first time. Yes.
Yay. So yeah,
Yeah.
I suppose from that card in itself, you could, like you've just been saying, you could get so much information and messages
Hmm.
for people on
Right.
various avenues, very deep into
Right.
that.
You certainly could. And I don't read tarot in a traditional way. I haven't memorized all the cards.
I'm
I
glad you said that. I'm the
I
same.
read them intuitively. Yeah.
Yeah.
I read them intuitively, and intuitive is spirit and flow. So, that's pretty interesting to me too. I look at the pictures of, whatever pops out at the picture at me first is the first thing I talk about. I don't necessarily even look at what the card is labeled.
You know what? We must be soul brother and sister, because that's exactly the way that I work with tarot. How
Yeah.
weird is that?
I think it's awesome. That's the way I teach tarot.
Yeah. Yeah, same here. Yeah.
Yeah, because it makes more sense, I guess. I don't know. Plus, I'm
Yeah.
not a fan of memorizing anything, so I don't.
Yeah, like you say, it's all about flow, isn't it? And
It is.
going with the flow of the card
Mhm.
and what it's bringing forward. Now, I know we're skirting through this rather quickly, but we've got
Yeah,
lots of ground to cover.
we
And one
do.
of the things that made us talk about this subject was the fact that nobody mentions hauntings either around water or actually in water. And
Right.
we wanted to take one for the team globally and be the first mediums to talk about this.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think this came up when we were doing a different show, I think, with
That's
Dan
right.
when it came up. Yeah, when we were doing my show and haunted water. Oh my gosh. And I'm going to let you jump in because you said that there was a reservoir in Derbyshire
Oh,
that's
yes.
known to be haunted.
Well, I don't know if it's known to be haunted, but I assume it would be. So basically, in Derbyshire, there's a place called, well, it was called Derwent Valley. And apparently, there was two historic villages in the Peak District in Derbyshire. And in 1943, it was decided by the powers that be that these villages were needed to be removed in order to help the war effort, in around the Second World War. And so the villages were moved out. Um, a lot of the buildings were either left there as they stood. Some of the buildings were demolished. And basically, this place is now known as Lady Bower Reservoir. Um, and anyway, what I found it interesting about it, and we was talking about this, is that these villages, they had churches, they had graveyards, they had a full community, people's
Hmm.
work, people's homes, and all of that. And this is what led us down this avenue of the topic we're talking about today, is the fact all of that activity, all of those emotions, all of those lives, births, deaths that have occurred in that area, and then just to have all of that evacuated and then flooded with water,
Right.
where's that energy going to go? Surely, it's going to hang around there, that those emotions, those feelings, those, when we talk about spirit and visitation, to
Hmm.
them, it's still going to be their home. Even though it's submerged underwater, it's still there. That place, that marker in the land is still there. And it's said, actually, and it was noted a few years back when there was a bit of a shortage of water, and that reservoir, was going down in terms of volume of water, that some of the buildings, the spires, the rooftops, the chimneys could be sighted at low level water. So, those buildings are still very much there. And that led us on to that thought when we came up with this title
Mhm.
that, like we say, that energy, surely what we'd love to do if we had a scuba Steve suit, a wetsuit or something, to go down there as mediums there
Yeah.
and just
Scuba
have a
Steve.
general explore. And it'd be fascinating to actually see is this spirit down there. They did actually
Right.
say that a lot of the bodies in the churchyard were exhumed and moved to a different location. But my thought with that is, surely people always miss the odd one or two. Surely
Mhm.
there's a few still under there, a little bit disgruntled. Oh, you forgot me. So basically, in a nutshell, this is Derwent Valley, as it was called, these two villages. It is now called Lady Bower Reservoir, and it's in Derbyshire in the United Kingdom. So that's what we've been talking about. And if anybody has had the opportunity to go there in low tide, so to speak, if that's the right terminology, then please do get in touch because our curious minds want to know.
Yes, I want to know. Wow. Okay, so we're going to move right from there to the state of Georgia in the United States. And I think it's about an hour's drive north of Atlanta, Georgia, is a place called Lake Lanier. And in the 50s, the United States Army Corps of Engineers built Buford Dam for purposes that included flood control, power generation, recreation. But what they did was that they emptied a town called Oscarville. And
Oh, wow.
Oscarville is now under Lake Lanier. And Lake Lanier is 57.6 square miles, I believe, of
Whoa.
lake. But Oscarville, this goes into a lot of, unfortunately, the racism that exists still here in the States. It was a completely Black community.
Okay.
And so even though they said that they like moved the graves, would you move the bodies and not the headstones that go with the bodies? You know what I'm saying?
I
Like,
do, yeah.
it seems pretty creepy, right?
It's usually
Um,
financially motivated, isn't it?
it is.
Mm.
It definitely is. And it's, the way it's presented here, it's like, oh, this was a great thing for North Georgia. It wasn't a great thing for all of North Georgia. And I have seen a couple of documentaries on Lake Lanier, and the documentaries have interviewed people who have gone swimming in Lake Lanier and
Okay.
felt like something was grabbing their feet or their legs and pulling them under
Whoa.
while they were swimming. Um, Again, it's a huge lake. There are structures just like the one you were just talking about.
Yeah.
There are structures under the water. I don't know if I don't remember off the top of my head if there's ever been, like it's ever gone low enough where you could see rooftops or anything, but
Okay.
definitely structures. They showed pictures of people scuba diving or even deep sea diving with the tanks and cameras, and you can see the gravestones. You can see all that stuff. And then in the 1960s, two young ladies were in a car accident, and their car ended up in Lake Lanier. They both drowned,
No.
and people have seen their spirits on the roadway near where their car went off the road into the lake.
Whoa.
So, yeah, there's all kinds of spooky stuff around that lake too. And it's a man made lake again. But there's all kinds of stuff too, like in lakes that are not man made,
Mm-hmm.
right? Lake Superior. Have you ever heard? I know, well, you probably have because you're a musician, but um, something about the Edmund Fitzgerald. It's a story about a cargo ship that went down in a storm. It's a folk song, basically,
Oh,
in Lake
okay.
Superior, and it was by Gordon Lightfoot. If you ever want to look it up, but it's yeah, it talks about how the spirits of the people who were on the ship are still haunting Lake Superior.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's,
Fascinating.
yeah. If you ever decide to listen to that song, I promise it will give you goosebumps. It's pretty incredible.
Wow.
But
I
yeah.
found it fascinating with what you were sharing there, the similarities between both of our accounts there.
Hmm.
And I did find it very interesting. You spoke about people experiencing feeling as if they were being pulled down into that lake. Now,
Yes.
obviously, if you experience that, you're going to go into fight or flight mode. You're going to go into fear mode, aren't you? But
Hmm.
looking a little bit more deeply into that, and with what you've said about these individuals in that town, that is buried
Hmm.
under that vast amount of water there, then surely, I would say, on looking at it from another point of view, the souls of those individuals that are trapped and maybe stuck in that vibration aren't doing it to intimidate or scare anybody. They're wanting some help. They're wanting a way
Exactly.
out. So maybe that is the reason why they felt that.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Hmm.
You know, we share a brain. It's amazing.
I love it. Excuse me. Oh, dear me.
Choked you up on that one. All
You
right.
did. Yes. That's fascinating. So,
Yeah.
this leads us into that avenue of energy that's attached to that location. You mentioned also about that unfortunate car accident with those two ladies that lost their life
Hmm.
there. Um, Obviously, their energy on some level, from what you've said, is still very much attached to that location. Water being a conductor of energy, it is also said that it can entice spirit towards it, and it can empower them and energize them. I know I've certainly used this as a bit of a ghostbuster trap, if you will, when I've
Okay.
say done some house cleansing, and there is still even though the work has been done, there's still some emanations still, you know, kicking around, so to speak.
Hmm.
Then I've always advised to use a clear glass bowl with some water in, put it into a corner of a room that my guides tell the client to put it into, and then that water acts like a magnet, like a battery, for that energy to get some sustenance, or some sort of energy that can help it continue to exist there. And my guides tell the client to then take that water every day to the bottom of their garden and pour it back into the soil, not into the sink or the drains of the property, because that energy will still remain there, but put it
Hmm.
back into source, into Mother Nature, to be cleansed and healed. And then doing that over the course of the week, that will dilute and remove those spirit beings in that location. And it's taking it back to source, back to Mother Earth there, and you're using a natural resource as a form of a magnet or a trap to do that.
I think that, wow, that's great. As you were talking, what I was thinking was that'd be great, especially for elementals that have
Oh
come
yeah,
into the house.
of course, yes, yes,
Yeah.
to take them back out into their
Into their
territory.
natural.
But having
Yeah.
said
That's
that,
crazy.
are we on their territory? Because initially, that's why a lot of them are grumpy. No disrespect, but we've
Well, I
built
agree.
properties on their land, haven't we?
We have. We have just taken over. We didn't even ask nice, you know?
Maybe this is where part of the construction industry should employ people like yourself and myself to do a scan and say,
Right.
the gnome community lives there and they want to charge you so and so land rent,
Yes.
or something like that, and get the okay,
There
the
you
go
go.
ahead before any digging starts.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And that kind of triggered something in my mind too, is that here in the States, if if they're going to if anyone is going to do like a big project, there has to be a land survey done.
Yeah.
Obviously, not just for the safety of the building to make sure that the land can support it, but also if any Native American um, like pottery or I can't think of the word right now, but
Okay.
any of that, like arrowheads, any of that is found at the location, it all has to be taken care of by archaeologists, or it has to be declared a historic site. So,
Whoa, interesting. Yeah, that makes a
yeah,
lot of sense. And maybe sacred
yeah.
burial grounds as well.
Sacred burial grounds
Yeah.
as well. Yeah. Yeah, that they're not going to move. That automatically pretty much just becomes a historic site, sacred site.
There was a few
Yeah.
classic films going back to the 80s. There was one called, obviously, Poltergeist, as many of us
Oh,
remember.
yes.
And I'm sure that was initially built on some sort of unusual ground. That could have been Native American Indian ground. I
It could
can't
have.
remember. It's years since I've watched it. And also, there was the other film called Pet Cemetery,
Oh gosh.
which is
Oh, no.
again, lots of weird things happened.
Yeah. Ugh, I don't know. Yeah, there's been a meme going around on social media about, the United States is having so many problems. It's almost like it's been built on a burial ground or something. You think?
Yeah.
And that's as far as I'm going with that.
Well, actually,
But yeah,
adding to that, there's a
yeah.
place in the UK called York, the capital of Yorkshire, shall we say,
Okay.
in the north middle of England. And they say that the capital, wherever you happen to walk in the capital of York, you're about 3 to 4 feet away from where a corpse was once buried. Because they say with all the battles that have encountered
Hmm.
there, you had the Romans there, you had I don't know my history very well, but you had lots of different ancient civilizations in that area, and lots of battles took place. And so, what they initially did, they're not going to, you know, exhume all of those bodies. So they concreted over a lot of them and rebuilt, houses, places of work, and things of that nature. And they even moved various churches, because there's quite a lot of churches in York. And again, rather than exhuming all of the bodies, they built like a slab walkway. So a lot of the public, without realizing, they're going to have their lovely coffees and experience York, are
Yeah.
walking on top of these poor souls that are buried so many feet beneath them.
No, same thing, same story. Savannah,
Yeah.
Georgia, in the United States. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
As Savannah grew, I mean, pretty much there were just a lot of bodies buried there because of the Civil War that went on here and all of that. And they moved a lot of them apparently to outside of the city limits but it was only the wealthy landowners that got moved.
Mm,
It wasn't the slaves that got moved. So apparently, like this town center, there's this beautiful park in the town center of Savannah, and 2 or 3 feet down there are bodies, and
wow.
yeah,
Have you been there
underneath that park.
yourself?
I have,
How did you
I
feel?
have. Well, first of all, the architecture is gorgeous
Yeah.
all over Savannah, so that was a little bit visually distracting. But yeah, there's a lot of spirit energy going on there. I went with my youngest child, and we saw a lot of stuff that we caught on camera. Um,
Fascinating.
while we actually went on a ghost walk with Pat Burns, and he did a fabulous job on this ghost walk. It was 2 hours in downtown Savannah, and my son was leaning up. He was 14 or 15 at the time,
Yeah.
leaning up against a building in front of a window. And I took his picture because I felt something. And in the picture, you can see a ghost arm wrapped around his waist,
Oh, wow.
like someone's hugging him from behind.
Fantastic.
Right? Yeah, it's it's very, very haunted. Yeah,
Excellent. Well,
yeah.
we've kind of gone off topic slightly, so I'm just going to rein us back in.
Oh, have we? Okay.
Yes, only just slightly. And I'd like to
We
talk of,
never do that.
no, that's not like us, is it? So
No.
I'd like to steer this ship See what I did there?
I
Water
saw
ships.
it.
Yeah, yeah.
I saw it.
Actually, talking about supernatural activity on the ocean. Again, water, isn't it? And
It is.
oceans, we take it for granted that they're just there, they're doing their own thing. Nothing ever happens there. But, we were saying off air today about a film called The Fog, and it scared the big Jesus out of me as a
Yes.
child. And it set my
Me too.
imagination running wild. So with this in mind, ghost ships, potentially, maybe sea creatures that we're not aware of, vortexes. I mean,
Hmm.
there's loads we can talk on about this subject. Even the Bermuda Triangle, for
Right.
example. So
Right.
what's your
It's
thoughts?
occurred to me that nobody has disappeared into the Bermuda Triangle in a while. I wonder if what's up with that. I
Someone's
mean,
put the plug in.
airplanes, ships. Somebody put the plug in the Bermuda Triangle. Yeah, that's interesting though, because you don't hear about that anymore. You know, at least I haven't heard about any new experiences with the Bermuda Triangle. But yeah, there's all kinds of places. Like there's all kinds of documentaries. I mean, seriously, look on YouTube or any of the streaming, and there are all sorts of uh, documentaries on things that happen in the ocean. My son's father was in the Navy, and he said he saw a lot of things he couldn't explain. Didn't tell me anything in detail, but he said that he saw a lot that he couldn't explain while he was on
Wow.
ship. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, they say they're mythological creatures, mermaids or mermen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, potentially what I've seen is that yes, they look human form, but what I've seen, their faces aren't human. It's like a different species, isn't it, entirely?
Right.
But they adopt certain aspects of the human form. Um, and you hear fishermen talking about them and alluding to them, calling them sirens in some
Mm-hmm.
respects, being sort of like enticed to go and with their curious nature to go and check them out on the rocks, and the ship ends up going crashing into the rocks and capsizing. So
Right.
potentially
Is
quite
that a real
mischievous.
thing or is that a story? Like, has that
I don't know. Do
actually
you know?
happened?
Sometimes I find it difficult to understand fact or fiction. My days kind of morph in one into the other. I don't know, but it intrigues me nevertheless.
Yeah, it is intriguing for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I do know that I have been seeing a lot or reading a lot lately about USOs as opposed to UFOs, right?
I
So
thought you was using bad
underwaters
language towards me then.
no, 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 no. I wouldn't do that.
Do explain for the listener. What do both of those things mean?
Well, UFO, as we know, is an unidentified flying object.
Yep,
A
yep.
USO is an unidentified submerged object.
Thank you.
Yes. So, but there have been many reports of, you know, craft that look like what we would call a UFO or a flying
Okay.
saucer that come up out of the water, and a lot of talk about underwater alien bases.
That's interesting because this seems to be an uprising of that information at the moment, currently,
Yes.
all over
Yes.
social media platforms. Whereas at one time that would have been sort of squashed and, hush hush, you can't talk about that.
Right.
So it's interesting you
Well,
bring that up.
that is the gift of social media. You can't stop people from speaking.
Well, they try.
They try.
Yeah, yeah,
They try to remove content, but somebody still saw it before it got removed. So,
yeah.
it's out there. And, the UFO activity around water, particularly around naval ships of all of the countries,
Okay.
not any one particular country. Um, and nuclear power plants that tend to be near water, big water,
Yeah.
and the UFO activity around those. And so, um, missile silos and all of that too. But we're talking about water, and there have been a lot of reports of those craft entering into or coming out of water, deep
That
water.
that's interesting
Yeah.
on two levels. The first one, when you mentioned about the nuclear missiles, submarines, and things of that nature, there,
Hmm.
um, on a just off the cuff, do you think that these beings are trying to slow the progression of us as a human species, excelling with that technology because of where it could potentially lead us and finish us as a planet, as a race?
Oh, I think so. I think so. I mean,
Mm,
we're not the smartest creatures in the universe, so if we were, we wouldn't keep killing each other. But
mm,
there's that whole thing of if they're an underwater base, this is my thinking. Okay, I this is just me thinking out loud. If there are underwater bases for what we're calling aliens, maybe they've always been there and they're not actually alien.
yes, yeah, I agree with you on that one. And what a great
Yeah.
place to hide. In the
Mhm.
middle of the ocean, you're not going to be bothered. You're underneath it all. Um, People just tend to leave the oceans alone, other than fishermen and obviously trawlers and things like that.
Right.
Us on the land, we wouldn't give it the time of day because we're too consumed with what we're doing. We wouldn't pay our attention out there into the ocean and what was happening. What a perfect place to hide.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And if some of the people who, and I've heard this theory, I don't can't really name a source because I don't remember their names.
Hmm.
But if they created us, right, and they're hanging around under the oceans and watching what we're doing, that would kind of explain why they're nervous about our nuclear weapons and our nuclear, you know, all of that kind of stuff, and about
Definitely.
us destroying the planet because it's their planet, basically.
Mm.
Right? I mean, that's a theory. I want to make sure I'm saying theory, not fact.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
But I just think it's feasible. I mean, at this point, what isn't feasible? No.
I like that. I would like to just again carry the content on by
Hmm.
talking about uses of water for spiritual practices. We kind of talked
Right.
about it earlier with ceremonies,
Hmm.
but I thought we'd dive in a little bit into this territory. So, do you use water in your spiritual practices, or
Um, Basically, just in the water ceremony with the blessing the water and
okay?
the native ceremony. Uh, I do know people who do water scrying.
Yes,
I
fantastic.
know that you can buy holy water in a whole bunch of places, and I guess holy water just means it's blessed, and most people don't realize they can bless it themselves.
Yeah, intention, isn't it?
But it's all about intention. Um, Water reading, I mean, I've done like tea leaf readings and coffee ground readings,
Okay.
and those are made in water. But as far as like doing a water reading, I've not done that. I
Oh,
assume it's something like a crystal ball reading.
well, actually, it follows the lines of psychometry where you would
Okay.
get your sitter to, obviously, that the water's got to be clean, nobody's got to tamper with it, to place their hands in a bowl of water for maybe 5 minutes or more, just to stand there, let the water absorb their frequency and energy. And then what you would do as a reader is you would go over to the water, place your hands in it, and receive that information, the emotions, the feelings. Again, like
Hmm.
psychometry, you would also get
Interesting.
images flow into your third eye. You get taste, flavors, and all of your spiritual faculties come on in alignment whilst you're holding their frequency within the water. As we know, it's a very good conductor of energy and it holds vibration in it. So it's a great way of using your spiritual skills and abilities in a different way.
Okay, now I have to try that.
That's some homework for you.
Yeah, give me more to do. Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
don't
I'd
know
just
about
not heard of
you.
that.
I go swimming quite a lot. I'd say at least once a week when I can, when I haven't got a cough or a cold or anything like that.
Mhm.
And in fact, that's where I get a lot of my cough and colds from the water within the swimming pool area. Well, why I thought I'd bring this up is obviously going on from what I was saying with water readings, everybody's submerged in the water. Their vibrations are filling that water like a thick soup of emotions, fluids. We won't go there. and other, substances. And obviously you're swimming through all of that. I know for me personally, it does rejuvenate me, revitalize me. But on some level there, I do tend to pick up on other people's emotions and energy. And even though I feel exhilarated from the exercise, on some level, I feel exhausted from the energy. So it's like a two-edged sword when I go swimming.
Right.
So have
Wow.
you encountered that yourself?
I haven't been swimming in quite some time. The last time I went swimming, I was in a lake, not a pool.
Okay.
So, um, I feel like when you're swimming in a lake, assuming it's not polluted, uh, I feel like the energies there are not as condensed, right? So if you're in a swimming pool and it's a public swimming pool and a lot of people are using it, a lot of people are leaving their energy behind, right?
Yeah,
A lake is a much larger body of water.
of
It
course.
has natural things growing in it, like plants and fish, and so I feel like that would be a different vibration swimming in a lake as
Mm.
opposed to in a pool. Um, I haven't been swimming in a pool in a long time because it's hard to find one without chlorine
That can be irritating, can't it? To the skin and the eyes. Yeah.
and the lungs.
Oh, of course. Yeah, because it is
Yeah.
vaporized, doesn't it?
Hmm. Right. So I tend not to swim in swimming pools unless I can find one that's a saltwater pool, and those are really hard to get into around here. They're just there's they're usually private. They're owned by private what do you call them? Clubs, I
Yeah.
guess.
It's
So,
interesting. I find it fascinating that there seems to be a very healthy interest in, um, like cold water swimming, as they call it, or, a lot of people are buying all the dry robes and things like that. And they're just
mhm,
finding these tranquil areas in nature to do what you've just been describing, almost as
right.
if there is a need, there is a calling, the water's calling them. Again, energies like we've been talking about within the
Mhm,
water. So I find
right.
that interesting.
Right. And if you're crazy enough, you can join the Polar Bear Club, which cuts holes in the ice and jumps in to go swimming. No, thank you.
No, no, I'm with you on that one. No,
they,
that's
they do it for charity, but it's still mm, not going to risk stopping my heart for that.
crikey. Come out as a
Yeah,
human ice cube, surely.
pretty much. The
So,
people who do it love it, though.
well, Christina, should I say, we've come to the end of today's session. So I'd always like to encourage you. Is there anywhere where people can contact you or find you, book in with your services? Can you let them know how to do that?
Absolutely. On my website, KristinaBloom.com. Christina is with a K and Bloom is with two O's, so that there isn't a lot of confusion there. And you can just request a time from straight right from the calendar on the website. So,
That's fantastic. And is there
yeah,
any events that you're going to be appearing at or featuring in soon, whether that's
soon.
online or physical?
uh, well, yeah, I mean, I'm going to be in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, on the 30th for a Paracon and psychic fair. So that will be there. I forgot which hotel it's at. But it's easy to find. Just look up Meta Parapro on Facebook and you'll be able to find it. And boy, after that, ooh, December's kind of slow.
It sounds like you need to put your feet up. You've been here, there, and everywhere, haven't you, this year?
Yeah, well, you know, it's
Definitely.
fun. It's
December is
fun.
your time for you, I think.
Apparently this year it is, but
There we
yeah.
go. Well,
Last year I was very busy through December. This year, not much. So it's good.
okay.
But I
Blessing
am
in
available
disguise.
for, yeah, I'm available to do individual readings, house parties, uh, corporate Christmas parties if someone wants to contact me through my
Fantastic.
website. Yeah.
Well, Kristina, as ever, it's been a wonderful deep dive conversation with you. No pun intended with the subject. But I've really enjoyed this session.
I have too.
And thank you, everybody, for listening. And I look forward to catching up with you and talking all things weird and wonderful very, very soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Glenn.
As ever, it's an absolute pleasure to connect with Kristina Bloom. As Kristina was saying, it's almost as if we share the same brain at times, honestly. But we have some weird and wonderful shows lined up for future episodes, so do stay tuned. But anyway, I hope you've all had a wonderful week this week. I know I've certainly had a very mixed bag of a week, both energetically, emotionally as well, with the work that is coming my way. It's very varied, very different. So every day is not the same for me. And I finding it very testing on many levels because I'm having to expand and learn new things. Not necessarily by intention, but simply because that's the way my time is flowing at the moment. And I just wanted to touch base with everybody that's listening. How's your week been going? Have you been noticing these subtle changes that are occurring in your timeline and also the timelines of the people around you? There is a lot changing. I certainly feel it. I know personally I've been slowing down a lot more than perhaps I would do. Is this because we're coming to the end of the year? Is it because the seasons are changing? Who knows? But I know what I feel, and I feel as though that this changes me actually receiving energy back to myself, having that balance restored in my vibration and in my life. I don't know about anybody else that's listening, but I'm one of these people that like to help, heal, and just give, and help so many people. And I love doing it. It's part of why I'm here. It's part of my purpose. But also, what I've had to come to terms with is the fact that I need to implement balance in my life, where I too also am open to receiving other people gifting to me their time and attention, their energy, their healing, their loving vibrations. And it's quite an unusual feeling for somebody that gives all the time to actually learn to receive. But that's been one of my major lessons over these last few weeks. And it seems to be getting stronger and stronger. And in actual fact, I'm finding the less or slower that I take in doing things, the quality improves and the intentions are heightened. And, overall it's working out a lot better for me. So I just wanted to throw that out there to everybody that's listening and to see how you're getting on in your life. And have you noticed these subtle changes that have been occurring right under your nose at this present moment in time? Anyway, we're going to move on to the next segment of this episode, which is this week's forecast reading. So the intention of this is to help you throughout the course of your week, energetically, emotionally, physically, mentally, as much as possible. So please sit back, relax, take some notes if you wish to do so, and enjoy this week's forecast reading. Hello, my name is Glenn Boddice and I'm a spiritual medium, and welcome to this week's energy forecast reading for the week commencing Monday, the 25th of November 2024. Now, those of you that have seen me work before will know that I connect with my spirit guides and helpers and also consult the wisdom of the Angel Tarot card. So what I'm about to do is shuffle the pack. And actually a card has just leaked out. Wow, I didn't even have to do that this week. So this is your card for this week's forecast reading. I'm now going to link into the energy and vibration of that. First of all, I feel as though there's a substantial shift in your vibration, your energy this week. You will be feeling a little bit tired and lethargic,
Not because there's anything physically unwell with you, but I just feel as though there's this draining feeling with your energy this week. This is because you're going through a dramatic energy or vibrational shift, and you're moving into higher timelines. Now, at the time you're going through this, it may feel like a bit of a struggle, but please persevere with it, because this is you moving into higher timelines where you're going to receive that inspiration, that guidance, where life is going to seamlessly flow for you for your greatest good. And with this being said, there's going to be a shift and a change in the way that you communicate with the world. I do feel as though you will be aligning with people's energy on a deeper level there. And what I mean by this, you'll be feeling into people's energy as opposed to listening to their words or watching their actions. So it's almost as if you have this instant connection, and you'll have a feeling, you'll know how they're going to operate, the thoughts that they will be manufacturing in their mind, and it will just bring this this cohesive connection with those that are around you. With having said that, there's also going to be this link with people that you don't necessarily know on a personal level, that you will have a natural bond, and you'll just understand them perhaps more so than what you perceive that you would have done. So there's that to happen this week. Also this week, there's going to be you actually taking life a little bit slower than perhaps you have done before. Now, in the first instance of this occurring, you will feel frustrated, because it will feel like you're putting 2 steps forward and going 3 steps back. However, I am being told that you are conserving your energy by working in this way and operating in this way. And actually, you're going to achieve more by doing less, if that makes sense, because the energy is going to be optimum and it's going to be spent where it is needed. Do listen for inspiration coming in this week, because I do feel as though your higher self, your spirit guides and helpers, are going to deliver some easier ways in which you can operate in your life. Almost like cheat sheets, if you will. And the ideas will just flow in your head, and you are to trust and actually to try something different, moving away from your own regime, perhaps. This can be a little bit uncomfortable when we try new things, but in actual fact, the inspiration that you're being gifted will actually help you move forward a lot easier. In terms of love and romance, what I am sensing is this blossoming, this opening up of your heart chakra, where you're letting people in, letting people aware of your insecurities and instabilities. And actually, by letting yourself be more vulnerable, you're going to be more appealing to those that vibrate with you on, I would say, a love and romantic setting there. Now, if you are in a relationship, or you're married or single, I do feel as though that this will also have an impact on you, because it will bring a degree of closeness between you and your partner, or if you're single, you and your partner to be. It will bring this level of closeness, this magnetic quality about you this week. Also, gestures of kindness, using your time and attention, won't go unnoticed. So do watch that this week. So let's turn over the card. And the card says at the top, we've got the number 0. So I'd like you to research that as an angel number. There is additional content and information should you choose to do that. But to me, it's almost as everything is coming full circle there. So all the struggles that you've gone through, I want to say over the last 12 months, they're coming to an end now, where you're starting to start a new journey on your timeline, on your pathway, where everything feels fresh, feels new, feels exciting again, almost like a rebirth. We have the word the dreamer underneath that. I want to tell you to give yourself permission to dream. We've all been told since growing up that actually you're daydreaming. Stop wasting your time daydreaming. Get here, get now, get present. I want to say that daydreaming is very important, because this is you actually creating your reality and manifesting what you truly desire. So when you do feel that tendency to drift off there in your imagination and feeling those feelings, allow yourself to feel that, because this is you manifesting and creating that new life that we're talking about. At the bottom of this card, it reads, beginning, believing, protected. Again, as we've said several times, This is about you starting a new chapter in your life there. And it's about you trusting and not beating yourself down. Like we've said previously, you would have been ridiculed maybe for daydreaming, for drifting off, going in a world of your own. Where are you? You're in a world of your own. Come back. We need you. That sort of thing. This week, well, actually, it's very important that you do allow yourself to have that balance, to go off in this dreamlike reality in your waking hours, because you are manifesting, you are creating your life as you feel it should flow. And when you align with those vibrations, you'll start to notice incremental changes coming into your life that will make you feel happy, joyous, and connected to your highest timeline. So looking around the edge of the card, we've got the colour of purple. To me, that's a very spiritual colour. It indicates you being protected, inspired, and guided. Also, there's that element of self-love. And what I mean by that is giving you a little bit back to yourself. You're always giving and helping others. This week we'll see you giving a little bit of that energy back to yourself. So you do feel more in alignment. You do feel that love that you give so openly and freely to others. Looking into the artwork of this card, we've got this beautiful childlike energy there. To me, that's talking about curiosity, and it's also talking about the feminine energies, about you trusting your intuition. And so trying something new, when you feel that magnetic pull, you're curious, you want to know. Your soul feels benefit of knowing that information. So trust that calling and explore with your childlike curiosity. So you can see she's pointing to a butterfly. A butterfly would indicate transformation, change coming into your life this week. Again, trusting that curious mind of yours and that curious soul of yours will lead you to your highest self, will lead you into, I would say, transformation into a new timeline. This involves you changing your vibration and also opening up your heart, as we previously mentioned there. Allowing others to see the true authenticity of who you are will change your space dramatically. You can also see that you are going to be guided and inspired by the angelic realm and your higher self and your guides there, as we've said previously. So listen out for those easier ways, those cheat sheets, in order for you to succeed and win at life. Now, when I say win, I'm talking about you coming into alignment with the truth of who you are. That is a win in itself. It doesn't matter if somebody else is doing something different. That is their vibration, but you are winning when you align with your highest good. Also, we have a dog on this as well. So this would indicate, they call a dog as a man's best friend, don't they? So look out for new acquaintances, new friends coming your way. A dog could also indicate K, the letter K, somebody with that initial, and the number 9. The number 9 would indicate coming to the end of a chapter, preparing to move into a new chapter there as well. But please look at the dog animal totem meaning, as that will offer some inspiration. Also, this card sees you standing on the edge and moving into new territory there. So that's what I picked up for this week's energy forecast reading. I hope that aligns with you. Thank you for hearting, liking, commenting and sharing. If you've enjoyed this reading, I have got a buy me a coffee link either above or below this video. This is a virtual tip jar, so all of your generous donations will be gratefully received and used in accordance with the spiritual work that I do to help people ascend on their pathway. If you would like to book in with me with any of my services, such as a private one-to-one reading, head over to my website, www.glenboddicespiritualmedium.com, or you can book in with me on Facebook, Glenn Boddice Spiritual Medium, by sending me a message. Join me every Monday at 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time with my radio show From Beyond with Glenn Boddice, talking about all things spiritual, paranormal and self-help on www.pulsetalkradio.com. Have a fabulous week, everybody. Bye for now.
Well, it sounds like we're all in for a fascinating week ahead, doesn't it? It's certainly given me something to think about and inspire me. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this week's show. Both Kristina Bloom and myself have really enjoyed bringing the content and the information to you. If you do have any questions that you'd like us to ask Spirit or expand on in the show, please contact me at www.glenboddicespiritualmedium.com or email me at glenboddice@live.co.uk. It would be fabulous to hear your feedback on the show and also to help you with some of the questions that perhaps are vexing you at this moment in time.
Anyway, I'd like to wish you a wonderful week ahead, and you can join me next Monday at 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time with this very show, From Beyond with Glenn Boddice, talking about all things spiritual, paranormal and self-help on www.pulsetalkradio.com. Bye for now. God bless.
Thank you for listening to From Beyond. For more information about what products and services Glenn provides, go to glennboddice spiritualmedium.com.